here. Remember how many games saw Kha'Zix Galio, Olaf Galio, invading Tempo Jungler plus Galio mid? Well, that's what we've got here. You can go in there, have your way with Canyon, invade aplenty, and you always know that the Gargoyle will rotate first, so hopefully we get that win rate increase on the Olaf and some aggressive jungling from Score.
Yeah, it's an oldie but a goodie. I know we'll see if DAMWON can handle it up against Prey and Snowflower down there. Let's hop into game number 2 right now. KT fans still out here in full force in the LCK summer. Looking to pick up that 2-0, and we were talking about how, well, I'm going to actually hold that thought. It's probably a fast, will have to come out here from Barrel, but actually, that Justice Punch was basically an eighth of a Teemo away. So definitely
very scientific of you.
Yeah, I know. And how about another slow here? It's not going to be the good one for any real damage, but they make the Lux back at least.
I'm going to have to start including Yuumi on the level 1 tier list that usually is so Braum dominated. Braum Olaf. In fact, Olaf Yuumi is the first Q will hit from the Yuumi, and then the first Q hits from the Olaf, and then you die. Is basically how that one goes. So
yeah, it's
ooh, another place that Yuumi's very strong. All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of haters of the cat right now, but I mean, how can you hate a cat? But definitely will want to avoid the bottom lane as Canyon just steals away the red underneath the nose of Score.
Now, it was under the nose, but it's actually an intelligent invade timing because the enemy team was preoccupied with trying to get flashes. They didn't get the flash. They have to skill E level 1 on the Galio, and the red buff goes down. So BDD is taking his whole health bar here. What a very interesting start. It was an E start from Showmaker as well.
Yeah.
And with the Assassin's Path, I believe that's what it's called, but the E regardless from the Akali. That's a lot of harass here. DAMWON Gaming kind of taking lemons and turning them into lemonade when it comes to this level 1.
You see the Justice Punch and you're like, well, instead of going for the clear, if he ever tries to engage on me, he will just not be able to ever, 100% of the time at level 1. So cool idea there, as actually a nice amount of damage done to Snowflower. It's most likely not going to matter, as if he gets low enough, he will wait. But how about the man who's so good at reading the jungle? He's going to find Canyon here. We'll get that flag and drag. So Score will be able to deny that after taking the red of Canyon in his side of the jungle.
I might start growing a soft spot for KT. And the reason why I admit that caster bias, Valdez, is that so many times this week I've been, oh, I see how this draft could work, and the team's like, no, I refuse to do that. I will not gank the lane that I need to gank. So far today, if we think about it, oh, Alistair coming back in. Weird. Haven't seen much Alistair. You're going to have to play around that lane. Score comes in. They get the first blood. It sets up the lane. Olaf plus Galio, if you're not invading with it, is just bad. So you got to actually play aggressive. Well, Olaf straight in there, even after losing the red buff under his nose. So good to see KT trying to play the active game they drafted for. A connection between draft and playstyle is something I want every team in the LCK to show, but so far, it's kind of flattered to deceive.
And it's weird to say that, you know, how so many teams are not playing to their win conditions or not doing it well enough. It really highlights how difficult a game League of Legends can be on a team perspective.
It highlights something else as well, Valdez. It highlights that teams are adjusting win conditions from just, man, 40 minutes were looking pretty strong. I think it's also kind of a teething problem with Korea starting to finally address some of the issues out there. And look, they make plenty of mistakes along the way. KT had a flawless first 12 minutes and then a very questionable mid-game behind that, which is why the game went so long. And not all the pieces are together yet, but it's also week 2 of a very long regular season. So because of that, it is nice to see the aggressive parts from KT actually look pretty damn good.
Do you think we're on the cusp of a new large shift in the meta of League of Legends, or is that too early to call right now? Because a lot of people are saying, you know, the newish meta with EU and China coming in and being more aggressive and trying to shut down the old Korean style that worked for so long. Do you think we're on the cusp of maybe Korea getting to that stage as well?
I think Korea finally, 3 international losses later, is at least grappling with that question. I think they ignored it for too long, and I don't have an answer because I can't influence it at the end of the day. But I hope so. And I hope teams will look at Kingzone, who are not winning because of star power, who are winning because of team play and aggressive team play at that, and learn the right learnings from them. I'm just happy we haven't learned the wrong learnings from the loss to G2, i.e. like every game Pike top is contested even though teams don't know what to do with it. So far, so good. But what it means, Valdez, we'll know in hindsight.
We are going to have to wait and see, but it is very telling, as you said, how the teams that are performing the best so far are the ones that are kind of adjusting to that new meta and bringing in new weird picks and not just playing that old antique style.
Canyon stole the red, but then his own jungle pathing has to be so modified. You know, you're always a bit different when you start enemy red buff. So often when you get a 3 buff, you end up actually not winning out in experience in CS just because things are so kind of scuffed in terms of your pathing. And we already knew Olaf would come in, and it was probably inevitable there would be some camps lost. But right now there's 2 camps left. He can start to catch up in terms of those camps, but you got to be careful if you're Canyon right now.
You really do have to. It's definitely tilting to go on a great start into getting shut down by Score again, into missing a blasting plant into the wolf pit. I've never actually seen that before, where you go straight up in the air vertical. Definitely a sight to see.
Oh, you remember the funniest one was when I think it was Peanut was playing Rengar and queued onto the blast plant and bounced back to the same spot.
Yeah. That was a good one, for sure.
The Rengar passive with the blast plant is really fun.
I was wondering if maybe we were going to see Haru do some weird stuff and bring in Rengar back on the meta coming in yesterday, but unfortunately he played well, but didn't bring in anything too crazy yesterday.
We're getting Peanut. Sorry, we're getting Prey Ashe today, so at least we're getting some of kind of our OTPs. The one true pairing is definitely Prey plus Ashe. Hawkshot comes down. Hawkshot plus Galio Invade plus an Olaf. Canyon's life sucks the most this game.
And there were a bunch of pings that went down. It looks like, obviously, here, as you can see, Canyon
What are we
knows.
waiting for?
Canyon knows. And, well, that's not going to be in range there for the stun. Nice knock up by the Justice Punch. Canyon super low. And he is just going to go into this one. Forces the flash, though. As Score doesn't have his flash to answer here. Will Flag and Dragon be able to get away? Showmaker had to use his ult, but at the end of the day, Summoners aside, Score will be able to pick up the red buff again.
Canyon was no Scotty. He knew here. He knew what to expect in this scenario, and yet it was it was still such a long time to pull the trigger by KT that they don't even pick up the kill from it. So doesn't help with the CS lead in the middle lane. It's about a 15 to 20 CS lead so far for the Akali. Back away, they keep pushing, and you can't still remove the fact that Score walks up, he's seen, but the turret plates will increase for KT.
Just brings you back to the days of, you know, remembering just how hard it can be to jungle against Score at times. And when Tarzan was getting really good, coming over to the LCK from Griffin when they did make it in, and why we were talking about how Tarzan seems to be like the newer Score, where they play in a similar style. It's just so hard to play against these players when they're really on point, and it's good to see Score coming back and actually playing to that top level today.
And you want to be able to be here as a customer, and the original's the best, Score's back, and all those things. And the thing about the KT fans, they're so ready to cheer. They have a huge fan base who we're expecting this bot lane.
Okay, well, this is one way to force an engage, but that's also a very big Lux shield and not that much damage overall. So both of them will be able to survive without blowing a single flash, but definitely a nice amount of damage done to Nuclear here, as he is going to have to get shielded up again down into the bot lane.
Not enough damage behind it just yet. Prey was low on mana. They were close to the turrets. There was no flash in with Hurricane and 5 points in Q play going on. Still, a health bar advantage this big does mean the ability to keep pushing up, and just Lux shielding's not going to be enough. They'll draw out a teleport. It's still going to be a priority back timing, and it is a 20 CS lead for the Ashe as well.
I mean, we kind of knew that this lane was going to be super annoying at the very least in the laning phase. Just immense amount of poke and control that you do have. And speaking of which, Nuggery's doing a similar thing in the top lane right now to Kingen on the rise.
Now, riddle me this. I looked at the changes for 9-12, and the one I actually looked at the closest was the Ashe buff. This is a huge buff. 1 second off volley means that volley's now at 4-second cooldown. I believe in the history of League of Legends, volley, which has always been there on the kit, has never been that short cooldown. You can go 45% CER from there. I looked at that, and I thought of something pretty dirty, Valdez. I'm wondering, do we get the Jhin-inspired lethality, or the Varus-inspired lethality Ashe with Comet? 2-second volleys. I know.
Yeah, oh, that sounds
awful.
Yeah.
And yet, strong.
Yeah, so quite good if you're actually playing it. With Prey back in here. Oh, Kingen trying to get aggressive as Nuguri did take aggro there from the turret, but was able to drop it the next time around. Brings up that shield in a very close trade between these two.
But if you're going to go for an all-in like that and not know your numbers, which is something we always give Nuguri credit for, then you just flashed. And it's not even a health bar lead coming in for Kingen. So a disconnected 1v1 attempt against Nuguri doesn't work. Spell shield on cooldown, but I don't think Prey is looking for an all-in just yet.
I think he was trying to keep him under the turret and with turret aggro.
Oh, you know what he was trying to do.
It was just a little bit too late there, Kingen.
And bold against Nuguri in particular. This guy is our best laning top, so you best be doubly sure you can pick up the kill.
Nuguri has so much poise when he plays in any lane. He just kind of laughed at him and walked away. As there's one guy who knows the numbers in that trait, it's the Rise.
Well, with no junglers showing up, with Olaf being able to walk up, it should have been Jace with free time and lane control. He's down 13 CS with no junglers on that side of the map, which just tells you that Nuguri is better. It's not a great matchup for the Rise.
Yes, absolutely. As the 4-on-3 for now, you see that score was on a back timing, and DWG was able to read that very well. Not 100% sure how, but they just go for the Infernal. The timing works out, and they take that buff away. But now Canyon, playing with fire here, is going to get rooted down. Is going to have to use that stopwatch, and they're going to go for the re-engage here, but Canyon is just going to get dunked. But Prey on the backside takes the boomerang to the face. That's going to be a double kill now for the side of Nuclear, and BDD goes down too. What a disaster there for KT as they get turned around on by DAMWON.
It's possible without the stasis that even Canyon could have survived as well. TP advantage for Nuguri. He comes down, not usually the Nuguri way, but through the lane does better than expected, and in the TP play, they get something going. So KT thought they were going to rout the members of DAMWON Gaming. No threat in the back. Let's watch the replay. It was a very interesting one. They just decide, let's stack the CC, and to be fair, it is a bit stacked. It is not full CC overlap, but it's not fantastic from KT's side. The flag TP comes through from the Rise, and that's what allows them to get in, but when Prey goes down, things fall apart a bit for KT.
And it looked like he wasn't expecting it either at all, but it was the final spark, the ult there from the Lux, and the Q from the Sivir to just burst him down from just about half health after getting Cataclysm there by Canyon. So just gets dunked there, and that's going to be a good win to the side of DAMWON, but now KT trying to get their own value down on the bottom side here.
Not a huge charge, and I believe no turret plates there. I believe they're out of range, so showing respect to the DAMWON trio.
It's part of the reason why Canyon was getting in there so aggressive, not just to hit the eye as the charge was coming in. Wanted to zone them out, and it turns out that it worked.
We liked the gameplay so far from KT. We liked the aggression from Olaf on the early CS lead. The fact that it isolated top side for the J seemed like on paper it would be a really good thing, but Valdez, DAMWON are making really smart plays around the map. They're able to answer and hold KT accountable, and even with priority lanes and pushing, they're down in Infernal. The top lane's losing the 1v1. Things are not going to plan for KT.
Absolutely not, and now that Nuguri, as you mentioned, is just having so much success in the top lane. Where has Canyon been for the last 4 or so minutes? It's been down in the bottom side. He goes Infernal, forces a fight. He immediately returns down to the bottom side, tries to relieve pressure down here, helps against that Rift Herald and denies a lot of gold, and so far has been in the right place after the way this early game has gone.
And it's kind of a weird cause and effect here, but like, DAMWON have Nuguri. Very good top laner. If left to his own devices, will carry. If camped, he can definitely chain feed. These are just realities of what Nuguri provides. So what do you do with that variable? And you look, he has the Rise, so you can definitely go topside and Rise Jarvan and can get inroads. Or, if you know the Score is spending all of his time invading, tempo jungling around you and forcing Canyon to be on the back foot, Valdez, maybe if you're dragging Olaf away from top lane, Nuguri can just do his thing.
And he is doing it in a big way, having a fun time up there, stacking the armor. And not the best time here for Kingen, who had to go straight into the Hex Drinker to start it off, just to survive up in that lane, as now the ward comes in. We do have TP available for Showmaker if they do decide to go for any kind of dive, but they are going to decide against it.
Definitely the sort of build that last 2 season Jace top people will look at and just hate Animune and Hex Drinker, but very much to have the ability to siege quite frequently. Silverult's popped, but I guess Prey's able to get out of dodge very easily.
Yeah. And the side of DAMWON, everybody's just hanging around the bottom side, and Kingen had to back, it looks like, so he misses not a bunch of CS, but a lot of the health on his turret, as Nuguri is just making this look so easy.
He is a fantastically talented. We talk about it a lot, but I'm happy that we get more data points that aren't watch his stream on a Chinese streaming site. No, seriously, believe me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a reason why DAMWON did so well and got 4th place the last time around. Their other players are good. Showmaker can even be great at times, but really it's the man up in the top lane.
He just came back, and he's gone again.
Yeah.
Oh.
And the question is, after this, do you even bring in Smeb for Game 3? I'm not even sure what the answer to that question is.
I kind of have to hold my tongue on Smeb, because I don't really know where Smeb's at. I'm not sure if Smeb truly knows where Smeb's at. Not the player that we picked up for kind of 3 to 4 consecutive years. Score is caught in transition. He's 3 levels under Showmaker.
Yeah, and even BDD on the backside has to take a ton of damage just trying to get vision in here. It's a second Infernal at 17 minutes. And just a Shock Blast that Nuclear can easily spell shield, and there's no way for KT to get even close to that Infernal Drake, as 2 now will go to the side of DAMWON.
I think KT are probably also not going to be able to play the style they want. As we see a lot of people walking up.
Okay, they're going for the Lux here. That's one person you can pick on, but the shield comes in. They finally get it after Score has to flash in there. Here comes the TP. It's going to get the double taunt here, as it is going the way of KT. It looks like the Showmaker is able to get a ton of damage in the backside. Gets a double kill, and is looking for more, as the Realm Warp would come in as well, and now it's all to the side of DAMWON. They're going to be able to pick up the ace with 3 members remaining.
And that just means they rout KT where they stand. DWG Gaming, who fought back again and again after some other scenarios for their jungler earlier, make mincemeat of a KT engage. I believe there was actually, let's watch the start of this. So let's watch what happens. Snowfire goes in. Remember, the cooldown is still there. He goes towards 2 members, detaches, and then he can't actually go to another because he's not able to use the you and me. So the positioning is not fantastic on the final chapter. I feel like, once again, the Yuumi from this team hasn't been perfect. And then the dive into the backline and just going for closest target from here means that KT just get no synergy going, and the cute cat into the death chamber.
You can see what they were going for with that duo down in the bottom side, but unfortunately, it got him only the lead in the lane, but afterwards, once the jungler and even the mid laner were unlocked, they were able to get down there. Lux didn't do any damage, but she survived for way too long. Kind of made Score irrelevant as well, as all of his damage was going on to Beryl. So now they're going to try to go on to Nuguri here. Not sure if that's the greatest of ideas, as it is Nuguri, but he is going to have to flash away, as there are 3 of them trying to get on top of him, and they will not pick up the kill.
Kind of bashing their head against the same objective again and again. KT's draft with Manamune Jace and the Ashe is push in Rise and try to siege. Speaking of siege.
Nice shield, bro. He's never going to die. Take a look at his items. He's got the Seraphs finished off. He has a Lux next to him. And the Q, it's like, no, he's just never, you're never going to burn through that shield.
But they're starting to burn through the top lane inner turret as a answer to the bot side advantage. Look at the item build here. We're old school with the second item. We've gone into the Frozen Heart for a very quick 40% CDR just from items, probably 45% CDR. Didn't see the utility tree spec in the opening part here. That is one tanky Rise. That tells me he probably wants to start team fighting pretty soon.
I like it. I noticed all the cloth armor he had in his build, and I'm like, well, not the right Disglory just yet.
I've got it. Nuguri
cool.
read the patch notes and saw the removal of the root on the first cast, now a slow, and said, all right, pour one out for my boy Rise. He might be good in the future, but it'll be different. Let's have one more Frozen Heart Rise game when the snares are reliable.
Yeah. Well, if that were the case, imagine being able to just style in that fashion and then dunk on your top laning opponents like it's nothing. It's definitely a big reason why we hype up this guy. And now KT's finally going to begin to try to, you know, bang their head against the wall, as you were saying. Just throw as many things as they can at Nuguri, but I don't think it's really going to work in the end, especially if he has that Lux near him.
It's just fun to see Nuguri, who has the most build flexibility. If you remember, he was able to beat top lane Nico for the first time in the Rise matchup that looked so Nico favored with stacking Magic Pen, and it almost always, I feel like Rise are pretty mindless about their builds, always going for Oblivion Orb, double pen, or Oblivion Orb into the Merlinomicon as second item, but he looks at his enemies and he sees, man, Frozen Heart value is really big here, so return to this item that we've not seen in the LCK, especially as a second item in a really long time, at a welcome time, is how Nuguri approaches the Rise and is something to call out and compliment.
Look at all the pings that are going on Nuguri, but so far he's been safe, not going headfirst into the Galio, but Galio's acting a little bit weird. He should know something's up, immediately going to throw down the World Lord, but he gets out there, as no root will be able to come in, and that's 3 members of the KT team just to try to kill the Rise.
Yeah, DAMWON Gaming playing with their food a bit. Don't get much damage, but do get a minion wave into the inhibitor turret. Need those 3 charges of the final chapter from the Yuumi in order to actually interrupt the Rise. Don't get it, and they do lose a turret, so in the area of the game where KT struggled, remember it was mid-game where KT weren't able to convert on an amazing early game in game number 1. The mid-game here from DAMWON in a much more even game has been on point.
Really got to hand it to them. It looks like we're definitely staring down the barrel of a game number 3 in this one, so will be very fun to see who will come out ahead, but we'll have to wait for DAMWON to take this one here first. They already have the 2 Drakes. They're looking for the Ocean. Maybe see if they can get a lucky draw on their 4th Drake, as they're in total control of the map right now, so they say, why not? We'll just unlock Nuguri up here, see what we can get. Is going to be just the Cloud.
And if you're wondering why this game has gone so far away from KT's control when it was looking so good at, say, 2 or 3 minutes, what has happened in this game is that with Jace losing to Rise and not being able to enter lane against Rise, the expected game plan of 4-1, where Jace has priority and you use all your pick tools like Ash Arrow, Olaf walking up aggressively and Galio behind him, the Yuumi ult, that actually hasn't been relevant. They've been split to death 1-3-1 by Akali Rise, specifically because they've got nothing out of the Jace.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
Now we're looking for that Ashe in the back line. Can they get it? Yes, they can. A Showmaker again is going to be the assassin. Nobody gets in range of the cat. Nobody's going to save her this time. Showmaker, how about a triple kill? We're looking down at 4, as I think they're going to give it on over to the Showmaker here, but Galio coming in means that, how about a pentakill is a possibility? That is going to be the 4th that comes in here, and it will be given as the double kill. The unofficial penta goes the way of Showmaker.
He's a bit hard done by. Play that perfectly. Should get the shout out on the penta. Lovely play on the Kali. Finesse and then some. Splitting to them to death is very clearly confirmed with the 2nd time they've team-wiped KT Rolster. We're going to a game 3 based on this start.
Oh, yeah.
Cresting upon a 10,000 gold lead, the Baron should confirm it.
Well, he went legendary, 8-0-4 on the back of that unofficial penta. It was the triple-double. We did just have the NBA Finals. Shout out to the Raptors who did win that one. But either way, definitely nice to see him pick up the penta here generally.
And you just see the bits from KT that they did not imagine going this way. Olaf having to flash over a wall to get out. That was the triple timings here, really, really nice. They know they have to wait out both the Maw of Malmortius and the Galio ult that was inevitably going to come. Assassin's Path interrupted by the taunt, but they're still going to finish the kill. And then it's a raffle here for the last kill. It wasn't actually just donated over, but in the end, didn't matter because it wasn't a true Penta. Still, unofficial Penta, and that is the second Penta that he should have been confirmed, right? Remember, he has a Camille Penta already this season. So, nice stuff happening here in this series.
Absolutely. So, as we mentioned before, it's going to be extremely hard for KT to come back from this one. They're going to need the God engage without the Akali there for sure. So,
does it work though? I don't think they have the damage for the God engage to matter, because behind that God engage, it's almost 2 items. On the Galio, it's a very low damage build, mostly for sieging and also just wave clearing from the Jace. And yeah, 2 item Ash to start, but I think they lose that one. So I think that's why looking towards a game 3 is kind of a viable thing to do.
Even the shield of the Lux as well, when you're so far ahead, you can really feel the power of it in general. As Showmaker looking for the solo kill here on the Kingen, but BDD is going to put an end to that fun, as now we're going in on to Prey again, as the big damage comes out from the side of DAMWON. They're just going to look to push them away and end this game fast. They want to go GG fast into game number 3.
When the early game doesn't actually spill over to the mid game, DAMWON Gaming is showing, just like they did in their first game of the season, that they shouldn't be considered an afterthought. Getting a competitive series between 2 teams looking to rise.
Another binding there on the Galio, who is not very tanky, and, well, everybody's going to die as Beryl nearly gets all 3 of them at the same time. And we're going in. Okay, they want the kill. They're going to get it on the backside as the triple goes the way of Nuclear. And we are going to a game 3.
Sometimes one man has his own basketball. Snoggery this game.